Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. What a night. What a beautiful night it is. Welcome to the Collegiate Star League. You come at the right time. I'm the Jordude, and joining me tonight is Chandyland and Nomo Dogan, and we're proud to bring you the top four Hearthstone teams in the nation. Tonight we have from Champaign, Illinois. We have Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. They will face off against New York University from New York City. Our second match will head out west as Washington's very own DigiPen faces Vancouver's Beast in British Columbia. That's not SFU. The road to DreamHack is in its final step as two of these teams will move to our finals at DreamHack Austin. So let's get some hype in the chat over here.
Yeah, dude, I'm hyped up tonight, and hopefully everybody else is as well. Should be some exciting matches as always, and especially since it's the semifinals. Definitely hoping to see some great games from these teams and see who gets to move on to DreamHack Austin. Now, with all that being said, would like to thank our sponsors, of course, Twitch TV for featuring our matches weekly. We are proud to be affiliated with the largest gaming stream provider in the world, and also Asus ROG. Asus is the presenting sponsor of the CSL this year. Asus makes some of the world's best gaming PCs, laptops, and monitors. And Asus is funding this season's travel to DreamHack and our prize pool for the year. So be sure to follow their social medias like at Asus_ROG and thank them for sponsoring the CSL. And I guess we are about ready to get started here. I think our players are ready to go.
All right. So it looks like our players are ready to go. We're going to be having Imitator up first versus Thunderhorn from NYU.
Yep, I know we've seen Thunderhorn before a few times, at least like on the stream. And I wonder what they're going to be blind picking here for this first game. No information yet. You definitely want to pick a deck that can beat anything. Or unless you like think you have a read on your opponent or something, you can play something a bit more risky.
Alright, so looks like Imitator is going to be opening up on Warlock. Looks like it's Zoo so far from that mulligan. And Thunderhorn's opening Druid.
Yeah, both two solid decks for opening off a match with, I think. Zoo and Druid can both beat anything. I think in this specific matchup, the Zoo tends to be pretty favored. If the Druid gets like a really strong opening, then that can help a lot. But Imitator starting things off here with a turn 1 Flame Imp.
Ooh, Thunderhorn has the option to go for our Innervate Coin Keeper of the Grove this turn to deal with that Flame Imp. What do you guys think about that play?
It might be worth it. He's got the Wild Growth to follow up on the next turn, but then he might miss out on a turn after that.
Right. I'm a little bit hesitant because the rest of our hand is a little bit heavy. Well, so if we decide to do that this turn, though, it's actually still okay for Curve because we can growth on 2.
Yeah, and then we get 2 draws to try to find a minion we could play on turn 3.
Right. I can get behind that play.
So it should pan out.
Yeah, you could
there's
also draw to like a Wrath or Living Roots or something to help fill it in.
Yeah, there's some scenarios where he'll end up not having something to do, but for the most part, he should find something to do in the next couple of turns. Yeah, he does go for the turn 1 Keeper.
I think this play is fine because the Keeper of Grove is killing this Flame Imp for free, as well as the 2/4 body itself can trade into either one or two more bodies that the Zoo puts out in the early turns.
Right. Makes it impossible or pretty bad for Imitator if he wants to play Juggler or anything like that. The Egg, unfortunately... Well, there is a proc for Imitator so far. Thunderhorn doesn't have another keeper for it yet, but doesn't have to worry about that until next turn. This turn is probably just growth.
Yeah, even the Beast of Sergeant, it could activate the egg, but it's not really doing that much. It's not going to be killing off the Keeper of the Grove.
Right.
It does get the 4/4 body out, but you still have the 2/2 Keeper of the Grove that could potentially deal with the Nerubian or just trade into the Beast of Sergeant.
Right.
Living Roots actually seems like an okay draw as well. It's not great, but it will give Thunderhorn at least something to do on this next turn. Unless he draws something better. Imitator has the option here to pop his egg if he wants to, which I think he might. Like, he can play the Abusive Sergeant, play the Argent Squire, or he could tap and play the Abusive Sergeant. Okay, he's got a Doomguard in here. So it's, you know, one of the more traditional zoo lists, I think. We've seen some people playing those newer lists that don't have Doomguard in them.
Right. I feel like more commonly lately we've been seeing the Leroy list a lot more than we have been seeing the Doomguard list.
Yeah.
Also, this list, I'd like to note this list actually runs Argent Squires as well as Flame Imps.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm wondering if it's a one of each.
Yeah, I have seen quite a few people playing like one Argent Squire, one Flame Imp just for the flexibility. In terms of the Doomguard versus the Leroy, I have been liking a lot as well with the double Sea Giant, but I would have to say in this matchup against Druid, having the 5/7 Doomguards are significantly better than just having a Leroy sitting in your hand for most of the game.
Right. Because if you decide to just like drop a Doomguard, well, not even on curve, but dropping a Doomguard against a Druid, they have very few ways to deal with it. Like in this
He's going for it on
situation.
curve.
Alright, he's going for it.
I would actually say that was a really bad discard. I think you want to discard at least one of the implosions just because they're so
Right.
clunky at this point.
Right.
Keeping the owl is actually pretty decent because Ancient of War might come out at some point, but holding on to the Argus I think would have been good there. Drew the Claw picked up now for Thunderhorn.
Yeah, I think that's a decent pickup. I could deal with both the Doomguard and the Haunted Creeper on this board right now, which just lets him be able to play his 7 drops a bit more safely, soak up some damage, and get the board a little bit cleared.
Where shall I strike?
Yep, Dr. Boom will probably be his play for next turn as well. Even though Ancient of War is nice to have a taunt in play, Ancient of War is nice to draw, Dr. Boom usually gives you the best board state overall, and against Zoo that's tends to be the most important thing, just who has the bigger board. Boombots help out a lot with that.
For sure. Imitator has an option to go for the Stone Tusk board, so he could clear off this Druid Claw efficiently, but he's most likely going to use an Implosion here to kill off the Druid Claw.
It picks up a Voodoo Doctor, which is interesting. I mean, I guess the stealth doesn't really matter, and
Yeah, especially if it's going to get swiped later on.
yeah.
The 2 health might help the Zoo get like a better trade by healing the minion up and then trading in.
Right. Or maybe at some point it can keep him out of combo range.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
see.
a thing too.
And Thunderhorn's got a handful of 7, so which one is he gonna play this turn?
Which Dr. 7 is it?
Which
I'm still
7
rooting
drop
for the
should he
Dr.
play?
Boom.
The real
Yeah, I would
Dr.
have to root
7?
for Dr. Boom too.
Right.
It's just the best way to get to try to swing the board back into your favor. Ancient of
Right.
Lore is a bit too passive. Ancient Lore is a bit too passive. Ancient of War is not too bad.
Except that Imitator does have that owl in hand.
Yeah, that owl will be pretty devastating if he goes for the
Right.
war. At least with the Dr. Boom, you're getting a 7/7 body, plus the Boom bots will probably clear the board. So that would definitely help. Maybe he's considering maybe Dr. Boom throws into free to play Sea Giant. Okay, what he's thinking about. But typically Zeus don't really run Big Game Hunter, right?
Yeah.
The Leroy variation does sometimes. I personally really like it in the Leroy variation, but I'm guessing that this one doesn't. I'm not even sure if this version would run Sea Giant, if they are playing the double Doomguard version.
Yeah. I would think they might play one Sea Giant at most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that 2 Plosion though.
Really awkward. Man. Yeah, that 2 Plosion. It means he's gonna have to sacrifice 2 minions to this, which is not really ideal. He can take out one of the Boombots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay, so he's
going
actually
to
going for the owl.
Oh wow, this is pretty interesting. But I wouldn't fault him if he does go for an island just to try be a bit greedier on the board. But then most of the time I don't play around Ancient of Wars.
Right.
But this way he's just going to be really devastated once the Ancient of War comes down. Because at Thunderhorn, he probably knows that Zoo won't be playing 2 Iron Beak Owls, so he's probably going to feel really safe playing it down this turn.
I feel like so Imitator's probably looking at his hand. He's like, all right, I got an Argus. If I don't tap into anything I can play next turn, and he wants to have some kind of board to put this down on, right? And this is probably his best way of ensuring that.
Yeah, the Ancient of Lore, he could draw cards, but then if Imitator has a way to just clear off the board really efficiently, he could just lose a lot of tempo.
Yeah, I guess when he plays that Iron Beak out, he's just really hoping that there isn't anything else he'll need to silence. Ancient of War is just kind of gonna make him feels bad man about that, I think. But that's just the way it is. Sometimes you take risks with like your silence and stuff.
But can this be the night that we send Uproot? Can Thunderhorn be thinking about uprooting here?
I think probably not. I actually like making 2 1/1s and playing the Ancient of War this turn, but going for 2 damage is completely fine as well. Like either way, I think it's solid to just go with this line.
Mm-hmm. I think what he was thinking about is clearing off the 2 damage to protect the war from, say, like power overwhelmings, because he hasn't seen any of those yet. It might have came in handy. And Imitator just drew into a power overwhelming, so that would have been enough to clear the Ancient of War, right?
With the Direwolf, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with the can you do something with the Direwolf? Alright, so you can't play everything this turn. With the power overwhelming, he'll have 6 on board, plus 2 more from the Direwolf is not enough right now.
Yeah.
He could just taunt up if he likes, or you could just try to... It looks like he's going for the Direwolf. Maybe he'll just get the first half of his Creeper rolling.
Yeah, he could trade in the Creeper and then play the Argus, too.
Right.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good against Swipe as well.
Question is he stacking in this 2-1? I think you do here. You do want to play around Swipe as much as you can. And I think that 2-1 is going into the 5-8, like, pretty much regardless of what happens to this board.
Yeah, I agree with that. And being able to see both players' hand, that trade would also deny a draw from the Wrath if Thunderhorn wanted to Wrath it for 1.
Alright, he ends up not using the Flame Imp to trade. It might hurt him a little bit. I don't know if it will, actually. Depending on what...
Yeah, this Wrath is most likely going for 3 damage on probably the Direwolf.
Yeah, it seems like the most important target.
Yeah.
And you might as well use the Ancient of War to trade into a 2-2 taunt.
Mm-hmm. This game is actually turning out pretty grindy for both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, that Dr. Boom into the Ancient of War once the Iron Beak Owl was used was just a really good couple of turns there for Thunderhorn. And now Imitator drawing into both his power overwhelmings, not really what he wants to see, I think, when he's looking to like build up a board.
Right, and he is actually going to be dead to Thunderhorn's combo next turn if he isn't able to clear both of these minions.
Well, he can kill both of these.
Right. He could just leave the taunt up.
Wait.
He could also kill the lore with
this.
Yeah,
he could kill the lore.
But it looks like he might not. He wants to have a way to enable his egg, so I can definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Actually, with the tap here, he's still going to be dead if he doesn't clear the lore. Because he put himself at 19, right?
I think it's 2 off, because he has to use the 2 damage from his face to...
Yeah, he should be 2 off.
Well played.
No, it's not. It's not. Because with the... Normally it's 21 with the 5 drop, right?
Oh yeah, he uses his face.
Yeah. So if
he
uses his face to clear the 2-2, it should be the exact.
Oh yeah, it's exact. Okay. Caster math.
I hate math.
I'm like, wait, he has to put the tree in, right?
It's not 14, it's technically 2 more because there's an extra minion on board, so... Yep.
Yeah, I was counting 21 minus 4 instead of 21 minus 2.
Math is hard, man. None of us were actually doing like the actual adding besides Channy, I think. Like, could just add.
I'm using my Brokeback skills, you know.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's why I took Golden Druid.
Alright, so NYU is going to be taking that first point. and we'll just wait a moment for our second players to queue.
Yep, someone in chat right about now is probably like Caster's failfish or something.
Failfish.
Well, you know what? Everybody messes up their math sometimes. We're humans too. But glad we have Channy here to correct our mistake there. And getting ready for game 2. So that's going to be Warlock used up for the Alini Storm Rage team from University of Illinois. And Druid is now out of the equation for the Violet teachers. So what are we queuing up here in this next game?
I think while it's early on, it's really hard to say. Since Druid is gone, they could consider maybe a warrior, control warrior, or a freeze mage.
Right?
For Warlock on the other side, NYU could consider Warlock would still be good with Warrior could be good for them if Warlock is gone, because typically Warlock is good against Warrior.
Yeah, they might be a little worried about Warrior being played if they want to go with their own freeze mage.
Yeah,
So might want to wait on that, I think.
yeah, definitely. If they wait to see both Warrior and Druid, that's the time to play freeze mage after, when there's like no more bad matchups.
Yeah, and I think we see that strategy come up a lot from a lot of these teams. Once again, as a refresher, the format is best of 5. Once a class is played, it can no longer be played by the team that played it. So that's why we were just discussing these matchups. With the Warlock being played for University of Illinois, they can no longer play that. And with the Druid getting played from New York, they can no longer play the Druid. Looks like the players have gotten in a game.
Yep, and it looks like it's going to be a Zulok from Chris Kills, and getting into the Paladin side. Oh, it could be a control Paladin, because we see the equality and Leon hands. Maybe a mid-range.
Midrange has been making a small comeback lately after it made a showing in the EU Championship.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a mid-range with the Zombie Chow as well.
Right. With the Zombie Chow and Owl, pretty much can confirm that this is most likely not Sigurd Paladin.
Yeah, and with the Leroy and the Gormok getting mulliganed away here from two-leg chair side, he's probably playing the newer zoo list that we've been seeing pop up a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty decent starting hand. I mean, Lonely Link's got the 1-2-3 dream curve here.
Oh yeah.
So this is like when you're playing mid-range Paladin, you're like Craigasm. Especially against Zoo, his hand is really good.
Could this Paladin possibly be like a Reno Paladin?
Maybe. It's possible. I haven't seen any doubles yet.
Yeah. That was just interesting.
Especially if this was Reno Paladin, he has like the god opening.
Yep.
If they're all one-ofs.
Yeah, Voidwalker getting played into a Zombie Chow is not the worst. I mean, it doesn't just instantly die, but wow,
there's the double Zombie Chow.
Okay, so this confirms that. Probably just a more normal mid-range Paladin.
Right, mid-range Paladin with double Zombie Chow, so that's usually a tech decision if you're expecting a lot of aggro, but this curve is pretty much as good as you could ask for against Zoo. The only thing you'd like to see in your hand now is maybe Consecration.
Yeah. He even has the Owl to answer a Nerubian egg that comes out early.
Right.
And Direwolf Alpha would normally look good, but with the shielded mini-bot that just got played, don't really want to play it into that.
Right, it's a little bit awkward here. I might like to see him go for the Creeper instead.
Yeah, he could go for the Creeper. He could also play Peddler and pop the Divine Shield off the mini-bot. That way, like, the Peddler could trade into one of the 2/2s.
Right. I think either way, the 1/1 should be trading into the shield here, because everything else in our hand, we don't want it to get taken out for free by the shield.
Yeah. And there's no pressure where he would want to kill the Zombie Chow first, because he has taken no damage. So he would probably could trade into a Chow a bit later, cash in for that 5 life.
Alright, playing around Blood Knight here. Not really. I mean, killing off the Divine Shield is still better than just dealing 1 damage to that zombie Chow.
Yeah. Lonely Link is considered using this Muster for Battle to kill off one of these 1/1s. Yeah, it looks like he's going to do that. It plays around the Knife Juggler
Right.
or any
And
buffs.
this curve, he even picked up the Shredder. This curve is so strong here for the Paladin.
Ooh, Sea Giant though.
Oh yeah,
If
that-
Lonely Link
that's
plays
Sea
more
Giant.
minions, that Sea Giant's coming out.
Right.
And if only it could have played it this turn, that would have been so great.
Oh,
Elven
that
Archer.
Elven Archer is
Elven
actually
Archer.
great. It's a really
Yeah.
good one. You can pick off the mini bot.
Yeah, it seems good. And the Elven
Seems
Archer
really
itself
good.
is going to take the hit from Life's Justice, but otherwise it could have killed him 1/1.
Right.
Zombie Chow has just done a pretty good amount of work here. It's still gonna end up finishing off this Dark Peddler thing. It doesn't even get the heal off, so it's like pretty much exactly what you hope for when you play a Zombie Chow in turn 1 against an aggressive deck. Kills a few things and doesn't even heal them.
Right.
Yeah.
Good seeing here from Lonely Link as well, hitting in with that Zombie Chow first, making sure that we don't accidentally heal him. This juggler could end up doing some work here. Alright, sniped a minion. That's good at least.
Yep, starting it off right, hitting one of those 1/1s. It was a 3 out of 5 chance, so pretty reasonable.
Yeah, unfortunately for the zoo, that these minions are going to die pretty easily. He can't get like the value by playing the direwolf onto minions like an attack, unfortunately. And Lonely Link's going to be able to get these value off the gets a lot of value off the Muster for Battle he played earlier. Gets to refill the board with Chill Mini Bond and Zombie Chow. But at least 2 legs could finally play the Sea Giant. So
Yep, it went all the way up to like 8 for its mana cost. Now it came back down because 3 more guys got played. Yeah, Lonely Link doesn't have a great way to deal with it. He can definitely deal with the Sea Giant, but it's not like he just has like an Aldor Peacekeeper ready to go or something like that.
yeah, he's going to have to trade into with the Shredder. He could use the bubble and the 2 recruits, or put the Chow in. I guess 2-Leg is thinking about if he wants to coin playing the Rubian Egg and the Sea Giant. However, I would probably want to save the coin so he could play Dr. Boom next turn.
Yeah. Like, even if you do play the Nerubian Egg, you're gonna want to use the power for it, and yeah, then like you said, you missed out on that Dr. Boom turn for the next one. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's
I
better
think you
to
would
get the
have to
Dr.
tap
Boom
to try
early.
to find something.
Right. I just want to see the Sea Giant come in here. I think in the best case, the Paladin doesn't have an immediate answer for this. It'll at least trade with a good amount of their board.
What do you
That
think about
equality
Lonely?
is an answer.
He could use his face, equip the True Silver, take 6 damage,
Yeah.
and trade the Shredder. And if he really wants to keep his board,
I think it could be worth it. To be honest, it could be worth it. Because
Yeah.
we're running a bit low on minions here.
And against a Zoo deck, you're not really too concerned about using your equality. Like, even if he
Right.
does have a bigger threat later on, it's not like Zoo has a board clear or anything to punish you for
Right.
making all your guys 1 health. I guess worst case scenario, Knife Juggler Implosion could clean up some things here, but even then, it shouldn't be backbreaking.
Oh, it looks like he's actually going to go for the Zombie Chow.
this is
Yeah, I
interesting.
don't really like that trade. I
Alright.
think
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, he cashes in on the Divine Shield. I agree. I'm fine with
Okay.
that. He probably didn't want to trade his recruit in because he might have Quartermaster in his
Right,
deck, and he
right.
wants to top deck into that.
Right. Maybe he's like, and maybe taking 8 to the face is a little ambitious.
Yeah. Quartermaster would end up being lethal, I think, unless something's done about this board, which it looks like it's just going to be Dr. Boom.
So Lonely Link's got 8 plus 5 damage, 13, not quite enough yet. So we're gonna have to trade here. Question is how are we gonna do it? So in this case, I think I'm actually fine with owling one of the boom bots as well.
Oh, that's a great drop.
Right, it's a good one.
I might actually consider owling my own zombie chow.
Yeah, I actually think that's perfectly valid too. We're
Because you
getting close to
are,
killing him.
yeah, even though you are like a mid-range deck at heart, he ends up trading it off, saving the owl, which is like the more conservative play. Yeah, I can't really fault him for that. But he could have had him at a pretty low health total. Like he could have just played True Silver as well if he really wanted to go on in that. But a taunt could kind of mess that up, or something along those lines. So this is probably just an all-around safer play.
Yeah,
Right.
my initial thought when I was looking at his turn was that I wanted to just go face and like silence the zombie chow, just go face and then
Yeah.
put pressure on killing him the next turn. But this is definitely a much safer route. The thing with mid-range paladin I find is that they don't run too many card draws, so they could run out of steam pretty quickly compared
Right.
to the Zoolock, which has the life tap.
Yep. And that's where this kind of stuff comes in. Like even if you don't have enough card draw, you still just hope to get like a good advantage on board. Like right now, he doesn't have a ton of cards in hand, but he's definitely favored on board. He's got an Iron Beak as well to silence this egg, which makes perfect sense. I mean, you might find a better owl target, but this is a great one.
Is this the time to go face? With that Alder Peacekeeper, he could just order the Lothar and go face.
It
But
looks like he's still gonna play conservative.
yeah, he's going for the consistent play, just clearing off the minions. If he really wants to be consistent, he would probably trade off the egg too. Yep, which he does, just to play around any Defender of Argus, Power Overwhelmings, things like
Right.
that.
And he still has lethal the next turn, so there isn't much of a reason not to trade with the egg.
Yeah.
Um, and that's going to be an implosion, which doesn't kill off the Harrison Jones, so I think this is just going to be lethal damage for Lonely Link. Yep. Two-leg concedes. Alright, not bad. Now both Warlocks are used for the teams.
And it's 1-1 now, I believe, right?
Yeah, series tied up, I think.
Right. Lonely Link ties that up 1-1 for UIUC.
I hope this series goes to Game 5 in both of the series. It's only
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah,
Right.
especially here the semifinals. Like, there's so much on the line right now. I mean, they get something for making top 8. I forget the exact.
Yeah,
Wow.
all these teams are walking out with some money.
Right.
Yeah.
But tonight, the winners of these two matches are getting trips to DreamHack Austin.
Yeah.
That's like
pretty
definitely
sick.
a lot more on the line here.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty great. Or it would be pretty great for the team who gets it. But next up, we're gonna have Vegetarian versus Eclipse 8800.
Looks like our players are just about ready.
What do you guys think they're going to bring into this next match, this next game?
Still expecting a paladin from NYU side. Wouldn't be surprised to see another druid or warrior come out even. I was gonna say I won't be expecting mage right now since we haven't seen a warrior come out.
Yep, but it looks like New York is going with the warrior. It looks like a patron warrior from the Unstable Ghoul and the Double Slams. And Vegetarian looks like probably just an aggro shaman with the Abusive Sergeant.
Right.
For Doomhammer.
We got that turn 1 tunnel trog. We're doing good so far. Does the warrior have the war axe is the question.
I really like this hand for the patron. The Unstable Ghoul Armorsmith is like some of the more important cards you need in this matchup. Of course, you need
Right.
the weapons definitely help a lot, but the Unstable Ghoul mainly slows down this matchup quite a bit.
Right. So it's either they have to waste a 3 damage burn on it if they want to get through it early, and it also ends up damaging their minions, which makes them a lot easier to pick off.
Mm-hmm. Eclipse thinking about keeping the slams. He keeps one of them. I could agree with that.
I actually like
things
this, yeah.
Yeah, I like
Things like
Slam.
Totem Golem are just too hard to kill without any extra help.
Oh, and that totem golem pickup is gonna be perfect for turn 2 for vegetarian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think you actually coin out one of these 2 drops because you have so many in your hand.
I agree.
I like coining the Armor Smith. Like that's what I was thinking with that first hand where you mulligan one slam. You keep the other one just in case there is like something with 3 health you want to kill. So you
Yeah.
can coin the Armor Smith turn 1, slam, and use the Armor Smith to deal the extra damage.
Right. And
Yeah.
also with that Cruel Task pickup, we can actually clean off the 1-3 cleanly if we'd like.
That's also a pretty good option. And he can save the slime for the turn after for the totem golem.
Alright, a lot of options here. Let's see which one Eclipse goes with. So Eclipse agrees he's going to be coining out the Armor Smith this turn. So like, alright, we'll set up for a cleaner clear on this board next turn.
I like this a lot also because the unstable gold could die to like the lightning bolt from what we see in Vegetarian's hand. It could also die to Abusive Sergeant. It's just a lot easier to kill a 3 health creature than a 4 health creature.
Right.
And Vegetarian definitely wants to go face with the Trog, so he would... Oh!
Whoa, going in
trade.
for the trade here.
I think it
Wow,
was fine.
it's actually like a really heads up play too.
Yeah.
So he's like, a lot of times this Armor Smith can end you if it gets too much value, right? So he's like, all right, I'm just gonna forgo
Yeah.
2 damage this turn, take care of this Armor Smith.
Yeah,
It's also better-
planning out the long way.
Yeah, it's also better against like straight up slam and Cruel Taskmaster because now he doesn't get the
Right.
card draw if he uses a slam, and
Right.
there's nothing to, like he can't just buff his Armor Smith and get a free kill on the Trog. So
Mhm.
he can though. He can Cruel Task the Leper Gnome this turn, which seems pretty good to me. And then he's got his Cruel Task to trade with the 2/2.
Right.
Yeah, he could also consider going for the a slightly greedier unstable ghoul. The unstable ghoul does clean off this board because
Right. I'm
Um,
also eyeing that unstable ghoul.
yeah, he would have to trade both them in. The only way Vegetarian can answer it nicely is by using the Flame Juggler, and it hits the 50-50, and then the Leper Gnome could trade into it. But either way, it would be fine for Eclipse, so he does go for the ghoul here.
Yeah, so he's actually going for it. I think
Yeah.
the only thing that maybe really punishes you in this situation, if he decides not to clear and rolls Healing Totem.
Oh yeah.
But that's about it. I think he's gonna want to clear this as soon as possible, so it's probably gonna be the double trade into Golem here.
Yep, throwing out the Unstable Ghoul just sets up for the Cruel Taskmaster nicely, pretty much no matter what happens.
He's going for a 50-50.
Oh,
Oh, got him.
got him.
And another thing was, even if he like made a totem that turn, I mean, you would never expect a Burn Shaman to make a totem this early, but like, even if he is, you'd probably be happy with that because he's not developing like anything else on the board.
Yeah, exactly. So Eclipse could just probably Kurtas this Trog out of the way. The Kurtas could kill the Flame Juggler as well on the next turn. Vegetarian has a pretty good turn 4 play. He didn't use the Totem Golem this turn, so that his following turn he could play double 2s.
Yeah, this is a really similar situation to last turn. The main difference is that there's a good chance the Tunnel Trog will get buffed enough to be able to kill the Unstable Ghoul itself. So that's part of the risk with that play. The Cruel Task straight up killing it off and having the 2/2 to trade into does seem a little bit better this turn.
Yep, and now Vegetarian has to try to find a little bit more steam. The Tunnel Trog is going to be really nice with the Lightning Bolt. But the Warrior's at 28 right now. He's in a pretty good spot. Definitely both of the Unstable Ghouls, Armor Smith and the Kurtas helped in this process.
Yeah, such a strong curve though from Vegetarian. I mean, Eclipse had some good like responses to it, but still, it's tough to beat it when Burn Shaman has a really strong start like this.
Well, he does have the second Unstable Ghoul. He could use the Unstable Ghoul and maybe slam the Trog to set it up to die. He could Unstable Ghoul and armor up if he wants to really maximize his life gain. Battle Rage, cycling Battle Rage doesn't seem like it would do anything.
I really actually like the Unstable Ghoul slam play. Just onto the 2/3.
Yeah.
Slam first, of course, see what you draw.
Okay, so we're kind of going along the same setup from the other turn, just hoping that maybe he has to trade both minions in to clear this up. So he picks up an execute. I feel like he's kind of eyeing it a little. He's like, are we going to execute this? But I think the ghoul is still the play here.
Yeah, because there's a chance they could kill both of the minions this turn.
Right.
Yeah, so as long as Eclipse can start to stabilize here, he should be able to win a long game. one of the main questions I'm thinking about is like how much damage is Vegetarian going to be able to deal before Eclipse starts taking control of the board? Because if he gets them down to like a certain threshold of like, 6, 7, 8 HP, he can definitely just draw a few burn spells off the top to finish him off. Even
Especially
with the hero power.
especially drawing both his ancestral knowledge this early gives him all that fuel.
Yeah.
I really like this execute here. The Totem Golem's probably the biggest minion that Vegetarian's going to have, so executing it seems right, and you get to play the taunt on curve.
Yeah, and I think on this turn, Eclipse is just thinking, please no Doomhammer, please no Doomhammer. And there's no Doomhammer, so he's got to be happy to see that. That's one of the most foreboding things when you're playing against this deck and they have like the turn 5 Doomhammer after having like a really strong curve. They can just do so much damage with it.
Right. I feel like this deck snowballs so much, like, based on whether you get the early Doomhammer in. Because that Doomhammer ends up doing 16 damage.
Yeah.
And getting
Plus
on 5 is just like the
Rockbiter.
dream. Right. Even
Get an
more with
extra 3.
Rockbiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, one card knocking down half your life total seems pretty good.
I mean, that's why
But-
they play 2, even though it's an unwieldy thing. You really, really want to draw it.
Those 2 cards itself just wins the game.
Right, we're just gonna draw 2 of them in a row and hit them,
Over 8 turns.
Yeah,
We'll
I
get
mean, I've
there.
definitely seen it done where you've used up 2 whole Doomhammers in one game
Yeah. Yeah.
and still end up pulling out the win.
Yeah.
It happens every so often.
So Eclipse here could draw some cards with the Battle Rage, but then he's not guaranteed that he could play anything else this turn. So going for the low step here, I think is fine. He gets to follow it up with Dr. Boom next turn, and he still doesn't have too much pressure in terms of the life total. He probably would want to try to find a Whirlwind. If he draws Whirlwind next turn, he could play the Patron Whirlwind, and it's going to be a really good turn for him. But even so, this Dr. Boom is coming down while he has 20 life, so he should be fine.
Right,
Dr.
so
Boom seems like a good option.
right, and with that, Eclipse is able to stabilize the board here, and Vegetarian's starting to run out of steam. I mean, he's got a lot of burn in hand, so if he rolls a Spell Totem here, alright, not Spell Totem, but it was like, if he rolls Spell Totem, he could potentially do a lot of damage this turn.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
has trading at this point. I don't think you're gonna win a
Full
value game.
Smark.
Yeah.
I mean, he's at 30 life too. He doesn't have to worry about
Right.
him dying in the next turn or so, especially because patrons don't have the Warsong Commander anymore for any charge shenanigans.
Right.
Yeah. In the old days, frothing Warsong Whirlwind would definitely be something that could kill you here.
You never felt safe at 30 life. He's going for
Yeah.
the spells now. I think this is fine because it lets him draw into more damage and play them all over his mana, using his mana efficiently.
Yep. Hopefully the boombots can just clean up the board here. I mean, as Eclipse, my primary concerns are clearing the board and using my hero power.
He might
Also,
use
you
a
wanna-
Battle Rage to try to find a second Armor Smith here.
Yeah, that's definitely a potential option you're looking at. You want to deal enough damage as well to your opponent's face to where you can finish him off next turn. All right, Grom Whirlwind, ready to go. So he can definitely lethal next turn.
The question is if he wants to be a bit greedy here and go for the... Does he need to play the Grim Patron, or could he just have the Grom lethal next turn?
I like Slam Hero Power Fiery Warax. I think
Yeah.
that's just like the best way to set up lethal. Looks like he's gonna execute.
That does definitely seem right.
Yeah, this way he gets. So this way he doesn't get the axe in play. Like, I think he could have had that same result and had the axe in play with the other line, but
And he still
this
sets
should
up
work
his own
out.
with Rowan, unless it's a taunt totem.
yeah, I was gonna say if that was a spell damage totem as well, wouldn't it have just been? No, it's not good
Would
enough.
have been a little bit off, but looks like he's gonna go for this Lava Burst anyway.
Yeah, spell damage totem was 1 damage off because it would have been 3 to
Right.
6.
Would
So.
have been 9. Still, this is gonna be a little bit shady. How is Vegetarian gonna
lethal.
find his?
Oh, it's gonna miss it.
No, you can't miss it with Inner Rage.
Okay. Yeah, it's still.
Alright, got
I was
him.
just thinking, yeah, with Inner Rage, like it's definitely clean.
Well, you could have done a fancy play where you Inner Rage the taunt totem and whirlwind and then
Yeah,
And
that was actually like the
damaging.
play I was thinking.
yeah,
but
you get more
Got
you
it.
get more damage that way. It still works out.
Just to beat your opponent further into the ground.
Great.
That's gonna be a 2-1 lead now for the Violet Teachers. Taking it with Patron Warrior. Definitely a deck that will go down in history. I mean, like, we saw times when it dominated everything. Burn Shaman too. We saw times when it has dominated. Maybe Burn Shaman will continue to exist actually in like the new format.
Oh
but
yeah, for sure.
Right.
They're just losing Crackle, right? Unless they're changing. I would think they would have to change Doomhammer maybe.
Right. Doomhammer
give
is
it-
probably the most OP card in that deck. But even like the Tunnel Trog opening, like Trog Golem is already
Oh,
really
yeah.
strong.
Yeah, maybe change the Tunnel Shrug as well. So looking at the classes that have been played now, University of Illinois has played their Warlock, their Paladin, and their Shaman. New York Violet Teachers have played their Druid, Warlock, and Warrior. So Druid and Warrior have been played. So this might open up a time where Freeze Mage can get played now from University of Illinois.
Yeah, I actually think this would be the best time to queue in the Freeze Mage because if they leave it for the very last deck to play, the other team's probably going to suspect him to be playing the Freeze Mage, so they would have a teched out deck to beat that. So
Right.
bringing it out now or threatening to bring it out now gives Illinois a 50-50 flip if they think that they're going to be playing it or not.
Right. And yeah, maybe they won't even play it. It's also
Or maybe
a
they play
possibility.
Temple Mage. Throw out the Temple Mage.
But right now,
So, like-
I would definitely say it's a good time to throw in your mage if you want to play mage, right? If they brought Freeze
Yeah.
Mage in their lineup. You know, the Druid and the Warrior are down, so it should be, the rest of the matchup should be relatively good for you.
Alright, but it's actually going to be a rogue. And Mage has been brought out by Ornorok from New York. Dumpling King brings his rogue to the table. And it looks like it is a Tempo Mage here.
Oh wow, this changes the matchup quite significantly because Freeze Mage I would say is a lot better against Rogue than Temple Mage is, just because once you get the board cleared up from the Rogue, it's really hard to get back onto the board.
Right. It also appears that this is Mali Rogue from UIUC side.
Oh yeah, it was the gadgets on. I think
Good old
the
gadgets.
Mali Rogue is actually a lot better against the Freeze Mage than normal Oil Rogue, just because you go through your deck a lot quicker and you play double heal bots normally.
Right. I also think that this deck is probably better against Tempo Mage than Oil Rogue is. So you're not as focused on clearing things with your weapon as much as you are just cycling, and you also have the 2 heal bots to deal with, their aggression.
Hmm.
And pretty sad opening hand, I think, here for Ornorok on the Tempo Mage side. Usually you want to have something
yeah.
to play in the early turns, like some minion.
Right. There's no Mana Worm in that hand, unfortunately for Ornorok. He can choose to coin out the portal if he likes. I would probably just hold on to it for this turn because our hand is looking a little bit rough.
Yeah, and you're playing against a rogue, so you expect them to probably just equip the weapon on
Right.
their next turn. So you probably have a safe time to just play the portal next turn, and save the coin to maybe coin something out later on.
Right.
Yeah, so this is just interesting. Just something I want to point out. Ornorok is on the team that's up 2 games right now. They just need 1 more to go to DreamHack Austin. And I mean, he brings this Tempo Mage up against, you know, an unknown deck. Like it's good against a lot of decks, right? I guess they weren't really scared of any like big hard counters. But using the Mage up like this, you know, I guess we've seen Tempo Mage before. It's just something interesting to note. You know, Dumpling King bringing his Rogue when they're down, they have to win 2 games in a row to move on to DreamHack Austin. So he's
Right.
got to be
This kind-
confident.
Everyone's gotta believe in his rogue here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Ornorok gotta believe in his Temple Mage. He has to be favoring playing Temple Mage over the Freeze Mage.
Right.
Or maybe he
Yeah.
just wants to roll the dice a couple of times and roll it all the way to DreamHack.
You know what? Maybe I'll just get the insane start with Tempo Mage, which
Yeah,
we don't
blow
see
out the
here.
game. Well, he
No.
could
I
unstable
feel like
portal.
Freeze Mage has
here at the same
better
time.
good matchups. But
Yeah.
so Tempo Mage is very dominating in the matchups that it is good in. but it also has very bad matchups.
Yeah, I mean, the Freeze Mage, both the Druid and the Warrior were still up. Dumpling King could have played either of those here, so that would have been kind of risky.
Right.
But
Do you see
alright.
that? Ornar pulled an Argent Watchman out of his portal. I actually really hate this card.
Yeah, I mean, he's watching, and that's probably all we do at this point.
It's about all he does.
Yeah, especially as Temple Mage when you want to be playing things and using your mana and not really
Right.
using your hero power unless you have to.
Right.
But
So
it's
I
going
feel like
work
you see
out.
this card like most commonly out of Shredder, and I'm always upset to see it. I feel like this makes me more sad than an Ancient Watcher for some reason.
I always love the quote from it, though. You know, like he pops out and he's just like, "I'm watching you." Like, he just
mean,
never attacks. Like I
when-
actually chuckled when I first heard it. It was great.
When he comes out Shredder, it's actually not too bad because this is still a 2/4 body. If you're going to use your hero
Yeah.
power anyways, it's still pretty decent.
Yeah, later in the game when you're like already using your hero power every turn, it's definitely like pretty solid.
Right.
And what we saw from 2 turns ago from Dumpling King is that he actually used the Fanonize instead of the Backstab on to kill the Mad Scientist. I think definitely a debatable play between some players that are not as experienced as Rogue because they might value it as, oh, this is my Fanonize, this is an AoE, it could kill multiple minions. But Temple Mage doesn't really play that many minions onto the board. So saving the Backstab for the Violet Teacher, which he could have used in this turn, it's definitely a heads-up play. Unfortunately, that Dumpling King was able to scout that it was probably a counterspell over a Mirror Entity because he saw that a Mirror Entity didn't come up, obviously, from the Teacher. So he couldn't use the
Right.
Backstab.
Yeah, and I'd say this is a really solid turn here from Ornarok, but Azure Drake Backstab is a solid answer to this. Oh, there is a
So
counter.
there's a counter spell up here. So is Dumpling King gonna sacrifice his prep to take out this Flame Waker? Looks like he's just gonna go in for it.
Yeah, he probably realizes like there's a good chance it's counterspell.
Right. So looks like he's gonna go for the Abyss instead. This is fine.
I actually think that he should. I kind of like burning the prep instead of the backstab because you can just
Right.
use the dagger to kill off the 2/4.
Right.
This way he has to use both his prep and the eviscerate. If he just burned the prep off the counterspell, he would have been able to save the eviscerate for next turn when he could
Right.
play Violet Teacher eviscerate.
Agreed.
So
So,
he ended
he
up
had to
using 3
use that
cards
prep
total.
like no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And so it probably would have been the better one to burn.
Yeah, he ends up using 3 cards total instead of 2 and his weapon and a couple of HP.
Right. I'm thinking that Dumpling King might be thinking about maybe next turn I'll have to play Flurry with his Drake on board. That could be a reason for saving the second half of his dagger.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's
always so scary when you leave a rogue with spell damage. Like he's looking at playing his Azure Drake, but like
Yeah.
not playing it, you don't really have much on board. I mean, you've got this Watchman, but you know,
I mean, next turn he has the Azure Drake plus the buffed up Arcane Blast. That's probably why he wanted to keep onto the Drake as well.
yeah,
Just so he has a pretty good tempo turn before he plays Dr. Boo.
yeah, I
Right.
definitely agree.
I think I actually would have gone for the Arcane Intellect into Ping there.
Yeah, then
Or
you get to
even-
attack.
Right, because I
Oh,
think
but you
we
can't
need
kill
to
the
get some
Drake.
cards rolling. Yeah, I would say it's alright to leave the Drake on the board. We still have the 2-3, right?
Yeah.
And on turn 6, we're still not going to be playing Boom. But this ends up working out. He's going to get to Azure Drake into the Arcane Blast for 4, which is really, really strong. Fortunately, still no room to fit in that hero power. I guess this is what, like, really annoys me about the 2-4. It's like, it could attack, but it's never going to.
If it was just like a 3/2 instead, it would have already put in like 9 damage. So.
Right.
Oh well, at least it wasn't like I don't know. There's probably worse things. I mean, Lore Walker Cho I think would have actually been good against like a rogue deck.
But
And
we
also
actually see
might have been bad, but
Tinker's Oil coming out from this rogue, so maybe it's not Malagos. You could just
So
have
actually
the
there's-
Auctioneers instead of the Sprint, if he plays
Okay.
Tomb Pillagers.
For a second, I was thinking he was killing the Watchman, but yeah, it definitely makes sense to kill out the Drake.
So
I gotta kill this.
right. In this case, we I don't think we can play Boom this turn. It's like very easily dealt with the Rose board at the moment. So I think we gotta take care of this board first.
Yeah, he could.
You know, if only this Watchman could attack, we could play Boom. I'm like, gonna continue to be salty about this Watchman.
Yeah, the play I'm thinking of is like Arcane Intellect thing.
Oh.
And
They're just gonna go in for the Boom here.
yeah, he's just going for the boom.
He could have Sorcerer's Apprentice, Mana Worm, Arcane Intellect, and Pinged.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was thinking of doing.
I
That way he
would
could kill
have
both
gone
the
for that play.
weapons.
Right. Like leaving the 4-1 on the board, it just like gives a really value clear for your Boom.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't sacrifice the teacher. Right. And he's got that flurry to deal with it too. So let's make sure to sequence the attacks correctly here. Alright. Send both minions in.
I'm ready to learn.
Blade Flare.
Whoa! those boom bots did not like that bot teacher.
Yeah. They had a mission, and they achieved it.
Oh, that Flame Waker is going to be really big in cleaning up these 1/1s.
I think Ornarok is kind of desperate to find a way to deal with this Gadgetzin, because if you ever leave a Gadgetzin in play for a turn, usually it's like enough to end the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, so he could go for the Arcane Intellect. You probably play the Apprentice, so right, and try to find a Frostbolt, I guess. But if he goes with the Apprentice and the Flame Waker, he would have to draw something like an Arcane Missiles or an Arcane Blast, right? Could possibly deal with this.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna find a way. I mean, I still like playing the Flame Waker and Arcane Intellect in some combination, but it looks like he's gonna go for the Sorcerer's Apprentice, hope to draw a Fireball or something.
Oh. Yeah, so if he went with the Flame Waker at first, he could have got 2 more missiles in, but I guess it's not too big of a deal.
Hey, it still might kill it.
It still can kill it.
Boy.
Okay, so this probably worked out to be what it would be normally, except the Gadgetzin or the face has a bit more life.
Alright, so it looks like he might just play the second Gadgetzin and eviscerate the Flame Waker, draw 2 cards, maybe he'll draw a 0-cost card.
Oh man, the deals.
So many deals right now. I'm gonna draw 2 cards off this Abyss.
You can draw. Oh, Deadly Poison.
Wow, that's actually amazing.
Yeah, it's another good one. Wow, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. He eviscerates
Backstab the
before.
dream? Oh, no backstab.
Yeah, all minions and a sap.
Well, he still gets to clear a board. He's at 17. And the Temple Mage only has 2 cards left in his hand, so he's in a really good position.
Yeah, this is just functioning like some kind of weird control rogue at the moment. I guess that's how rogue does it sometimes.
Right.
1 minute off of being able to clear both Gadgetzins.
Yeah. Even if he's able to clear both Gadgetzins, he's still really far behind because Dumpling King drew so many cards off that last turn. He could just refill the board right after.
Yeah, this seems like the best alternative though. Just playing the Mirror Entity, killing one of them. Maybe Dumpling King will play into it somehow. Maybe Dumpling King's a little bit concerned about his health here, just in case he might get burned out.
Yep, the Force is going to help heal him up. I would actually even consider using maybe the sap, just to sap back that Mana Worm if he really wants to.
Yeah, he gets to cycle it as well, so
Yeah,
Right.
might have been worth it.
but this low sub is fine. He gets to lock up and secure his board.
Alright, I don't really see a way for UC to lose here. The swing turns were really big. He was able to take care of that boom turn so efficiently, and then his follow-up turn was super strong as well.
Yeah, for Ornarok, he could he could try to go for a grindy game where he just starts clearing off these minions with that fireball next turn. But then
So-
Dumpling King has the higher quality minions in his hand to refill. And since they're both at 17 life, the game can't really grind on for that long.
Right. I would say if we didn't see that Ornorok already threw his second fireball at a Drake, the play would probably be just to go phase here. I don't think you're
Yeah.
going to be able to win back the board at this point, but unfortunately he is already down a fireball, so that plan is not going to work.
Yeah, it looks like we might just be going to a game 5 here.
And some temple mages do run Flame Strike, so maybe a Flame Strike could help swing back the board into his favor.
Right.
But this sap is
see
going to
what
happen
we
on the
pick
water
up off.
elite, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, don't want to give up hope yet, but man, this is a lot of stuff here from Dumpling King.
No more secrets in the deck for Ornorok, and we are going to be seeing this sap come down on the water elemental.
Yeah, so Ornorok needs like a Flame Strike this turn to to somewhat clear the board and hopefully live.
Right.
So the Flame Cannon, that's 1/4 of a Flame Strike, I guess.
1/4 of a flame strike.
You could.
Oh man. You gotta be looking at this like, alright, so technically he's not dead on board if he clears.
Yeah, he
before
lives
4.
one turn. He'll be at 1.
I think
And
if we were going to play the fireball, then we should have fireballed the Lothar first, right?
Yeah. Well, he would have to just pin phase. It's not too big of a deal, but it
Right.
looks like it's going to be it because he's not going to be able to play this water elemental that would freeze face, so that 1 damage is inevitable.
Right, and with this flurry here, it's gonna be lethal for Dumpling King, and Illinois is gonna tie the series up 2-2. We are going to Game 5 of our semifinal.
Yep, and a pretty dominating performance there, I think, from Dumpling King's Rogue. Then again, Ornorok did have a pretty slow start. Definitely not what you want to see as a Temple Mage player in that situation, but you know, they've got another chance here. They've got their Game 5. And still lots of choices for decks that the schools can play. The Mage, you know, that might just come out here from Illinois, because since Druid and Warrior are already used up from the Violet teachers. We'll see what they end up doing. In our next game, we're going to have Druvstar versus Not a Rapper.
Yeah, this game is going to have a lot of pressure on these last players. The winner, whoever wins this next game, takes their team to Texas.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty intense, right? Like,
Right.
just need to win one more.
Both these teams have got to be feeling the pressure now. This is like, it's coming down to this last game. And you're like, alright, if we win this, we're going to Texas.
Yeah, I would hate to be the last guy that had to play on.
Right, there must be like so much pressure on these anchors here.
Alright, buddy, good luck. You know, like, hope you win.
your team is
Not
like
saying,
staring
but
you
you
down like, don't lose, man.
You could take us to DreamHack, not just as a short
No big
reminder.
deal.
No pressure.
So yeah. Oh man, it's so hard to keep track of what classes each team has left. So, what would be the best choice for both of them?
I mean, Freeze Mage seems really good from Illinois, but it's like, you gotta be
Yeah, they
wondering if they're
seem the
just gonna
warrior
try
and
to
the
counter
druid,
it.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have what classes have been played. Warrior, or excuse me, Warlock, Paladin, Shaman, and Rogue have been played from Illinois, and Druid, Warlock, Warrior, and Mage have been played from NYU.
Okay. So yeah, the mage could be a really good pick, but if they're expecting NYU to think that they're going to be playing a mage, they could do that level 2 thinking and bring the counter to the counter of freeze mage with whatever
That
New
level
York
2
has left.
thinking. I like it. So the counter to the freeze mage, I mean, they still have warrior. Alright, you're talking about, alright, so if Illinois plays Freeze Mage,
Yeah.
so NYU, what can they counter with? They've already played their Warrior, they've already played their Druid.
We could play some kind of hunter or something, but it looks like the players are in game. They brought Burn Shaman. And is this Freeze Mage from Drubstar? Some kind of mage deck. Looks like Freeze Mage to me. He's got a Thaunos, a Blizzard, a Fireball, a Pyroblast.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds like a Freeze Mage.
Okay, so indeed we're going to be having Freeze Mage from Joestar versus probably starting Aggro Shaman. So I'd say this is actually a decent matchup for Shaman. A lot of times if you can burst them down before they can get the barriers up, it's a really big blow to them.
Yeah,
Right.
barriers is definitely a really key card to get. Even better if it's off the Mad Scientist.
Right.
But normally, if you could get both barriers to go off in the game, you're in a decent spot. Shaman doesn't have too good of an answer to deal with the Frost over Doomsayers.
Right. Just gotta dodge that one silence. I actually
Yeah,
really
that
like
one
the
air
early
shot.
Doomsayer in this matchup because it's either you get the sound, force them to have the silence right away, or they're burning 7 damage on it, right?
Yeah.
Leopardum picked up here on the first turn from Not a Rapper here in Game 5. The winner of this game is taking their team to DreamHack Austin for the finals. Drubstar looking at his hand. He's got a couple of things he could coin out, but is it worth it?
Job's done.
Looks like he does decide to go with the Novice Engineer.
Oh, and that scientist is gonna be perfect for turn 2.
Is he gonna go with Flame Juggler? Will it hit? He's got a 50-50.
Flame Juggler!
I think it's worth going for the 50-50 in this
Right.
situation.
It
You
seems
could just
really
get so
good
much
here.
more damage, and you're just sacrificing +1/1 stats by going to Stone Golem instead. You can still play Stone Golem Abusive the turn after.
Oh, and it misses.
Oh,
So-
tempting.
This is the 50-50, so this Leopard Gnome is going to be eaten up by this Novice Engineer here, and probably just going to see that scientist come down. That second secret draw is pretty unfortunate for UC side.
Yeah,
so-
I think one of the main things I think about in a matchup like this is hoping I get the barrier off the scientist instead of the block because
Right.
it's so much of a bigger deal. Just getting that 8 HP stacked up. I mean, especially when you have an ice block in hand,
Right.
it takes so long for it to be useful.
So,
Yeah, and you don't want to use it until you have a lot more mana later.
Yep. And Drubstar, lots of options. Trades off the scientist.
that is the barrier.
Yeah, so RNG going a little bit in Drubstar's way, I think, this game. The 50-50 in his favor, as well as the second 50-50 in his favor.
Right.
This Lightning Ball is not too bad. He could use it as to kill off this Acolyte of Pain, or he could just go face and save the Lightning Ball for face later on. If Joestar wants to get value off his Acolyte, he would have to ping it first if he wants to draw 2 cards, or I guess he could just hit into the Knife Juggler. But as the Shaman, you just want all the damage to go face.
Yeah, it
And
might
seeing
be
that this
worth.
Ice Barrier is definitely, I would say he should save it for the face.
Yeah, it might be worth just ignoring the Acolyte and saving all of your burn damage for face. The mage would get more options, like assuming he trades into the 2-3 and gets extra draws. But
Yeah.
Little time.
still, raw damage is just so important in this matchup.
Yeah, especially because this is so early into the game. We're only going on turn 4 for the mage, so he even with those extra cards, he wouldn't be able to use all of them.
Yeah, the Freeze Mage is never gonna get to play all of his cards in this matchup, and if he does, there's no way the Shaman wins anyways. So
Yeah. So definitely, I would say it's a good call from the Raptor going for face, saving the Lightning Ball for face later on. Especially if the board starts getting frozen, and then the Freeze Mage has the second ice barrier up, and he doesn't want to pop it. He could just throw spells at the face to play around it.
Yep, Drubstar does end up trading his Acolyte, getting a little bit of value here. Your goal in this matchup is just to like survive and then stabilize towards the mid game, and then you have plenty of damage usually to finish him off later on. But you just want to be really efficient with what you play early on so that you can live past all of the pressure and the burn that the Shaman will be throwing at you. Feral
Yeah.
Spirit seems like a fine play to me here.
Yeah, does Dwarfstar have the Frost Nova Doomsayer? I couldn't get him onto my friends list.
No, he
He
doesn't
does
have either of those
not.
cards right
Oh,
now.
okay.
I think he's gonna be looking for that in his upcoming turns, though. If the Feral Spirits do end up coming down here, but I do think the Feral Spirits is really, really strong here. And if the Feral Spirits come down here, at the moment, Drosstar just doesn't have a way to deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, he could start burning them with like a torch maybe, but it still leaves the other two minions untouched.
Yeah, he's got 3 potential draws left for this turn. 1 for the turn, and then Acolyte and Blood Mage both draw on the
Right.
card. There's Doomsayer.
There's Doomsayer. Can we find a Nova in 2 draws? We've got 2 draws for it. We've got both of these cards will give us a draw if we decide to hit in with them.
Yep, he also has enough space in his hand. Sitting at 7 cards right now, can draw 2, be up to 9.
Frostbolt is actually not a bad pickup at all. With this, we can actually take out 2 of these threats here because we've got the torch as well.
Oh yeah, so you could Torch and Frostbolt, clear off the Totem and the Wolf.
Right.
I think it might be better to go for a better out though. Like Frost Nova will still do some good work, even without the spell damage. Or Frostbolt and Forgotten Torch, he'll still do good stuff without it, but he's not gonna go for it. Just taking that spell damage.
He might use the ping to just pick off the 2-1 and save the Frostbolt if he wants.
I agree.
It's still 2 damage either way.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have to Frostbolt this turn. We can just choose the ping if we want. Looks like he's going for the Doomsayer, actually.
Okay. I don't mind it too much because it forces the Shaman to put 7 damage into it, so it's essentially healing 7 life for 2 mana.
We're just using it as a heal 7 at this point. It's gonna be pretty picked off by this really scary looking hand from Not a Rapper, actually. That's a lot of burn in hand. So that's actually
That's 18 damage.
yeah, it's quite a bit. So let's say if Not a Rapper goes all face this turn, is that better?
He could put him at 3, right? If he used the Lava Shock and the Lava Bolt, the Lightning Bolt, Lava Shock, and the Lava Burst could all be used this turn.
Right, and with so much burn in hand, we have enough to proc two blocks, and I think it's actually probably better. It's not going to be relevant if he puts a barrier up anymore at this point.
Yeah, I think it would actually be correct too because the mage is not close to playing Alexstrasza anytime soon, so forcing the burn now would probably be good.
Yeah, I like this play best because he wants to Lava Shock to unlock the maximum amount of crystals. And this way, he'll unlock more crystals next turn instead of just 2 on this turn.
Yeah, he might not even have to unlock the crystals if Joestar doesn't play anything else, because he could just Lava Burst to pop if there's a nice block played.
Right.
Yeah, and as Joestar in this situation, I think you probably are just going to play both secrets.
Right.
He might go for the Arcane Intellect instead, but his hand is kind of full.
Right.
Yeah,
He's
the 2
not gonna
secrets
be
are good
very
against
happy.
Chargers.
Right. I think the barrier is a fine play as well.
So Lightning Bolt Lava Shock seems to be the best because it pops the block at 2 instead of 5, which using Lava Burst would have done.
And the Doomhammer is also pretty solid here. Even if he isn't able to finish him off, like even if Drebstar picks up another like block or something, Doomhammer will still be a good amount of damage for later on.
Right.
So I think it comes down to this Arcane Intellect.
What can we even do that helps this year, though? So that's a barrier up, but Not a Rapper's got another burn in hand.
Yeah, he's gonna need.
It would have to be exactly block.
Yeah, but
and then he would
what can you
need
draw the turn
another
after?
good draw.
Right. We
Heal
still lose the turn after.
Yeah, you would still need like a heal bot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's turn early for Alex on 8 if we happen to top deck Alex, so it needs to be exactly heal bot, I think.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to go for some pretty narrow outs here.
Right.
Not a Rapper's got to be feeling good at this point. I mean,
Not everyone's like, yeah, you can't get me.
yeah, this is probably what he was expecting going in this matchup. Burn Shaman, Freeze Mage has usually struggled with straight.
Oh,
burn
he actually got the block.
Right, so
He's got a thing like, yeah, I gotta play it here. Yeah.
Still got a chance on the
To see
side
if the
of
heal bot.
so. Even then, it's still not guaranteed to win. He's still gonna have to jump these hurdles, I
Wait.
think.
Oh. So now Raptor, he can pop the block here with the lava burst, but he doesn't have any more burn
You're
spells in his
right.
hand. So the only way he'd be able to kill him would be attacking with the Doomhammer and the Argent Horse Rider. So if he doesn't draw another burn spell the next draw, and then Drowstar draws Alex Strada on turn 9,
Right.
it could be a big deal.
Right. So he's either got to decide here, am I going to start breaking down this barrier? Because if he does want to do that, he can put in 6 damage into the face's turn.
Yeah, but he's not popping, which gives Drowstar one more turn.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
think
think it's definitely worth it to pop it this turn.
Right.
I think
And
you
just
have to
try
play
to-
the lava burst.
Yeah,
and
just
then
draw into another burn spell.
Right.
you might as well just get the Doomhammer up and ready to go.
Right.
Oh,
He's actually going for the pop. So he's
Does
alright.
he
So
still have
he,
enough damage?
I actually think
Oh,
I
yeah,
agree
yeah,
with this
yeah.
play though. Yeah. So he's
There's
gonna
enough
do
damage.
both.
Okay, yeah.
Pop the
I forgot
barrier.
the spell damage totem also helps.
Right. So it's
Yeah, that
four
makes it
six.
easy.
Yeah.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, the spell damage totem actually really relevant here because he's able to pop him this turn. If he didn't have the extra damage, he'd be at 3 life or
Right.
1 life with the block still up.
Right. So that was actually perfect.
Yeah, not a rapper. Pretty impeccable play here, even though he is playing something like Burn Shaman. There's still a lot of key things you have to consider.
Right, and that sequencing was 100% correct as well, putting him at the lowest life total possible.
Yeah.
And Drowstar, looking at this hand, it seems like he's got a intellect again.
What can you do here?
So his only out
So-
would be intellect into healbot, or he would have to freeze the face and pray that does no air damage.
Right. But we know that there is, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Drowstar, I think this is unblind.
Yeah, he's got no way to block the incoming Argent Horse Rider.
Nope, but he is playing to his out
Right.
by using the crossbow to to freeze the face.
Might as well freeze the totem too. Rock
Yeah,
Rider
but-
weapon's the thing. I mean,
Yeah, or
As well as
something.
abusive, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
draws a crackle anyways.
Well, he actually did get his last burn card. I think
Yeah.
that was it though. I mean, he got 2 lava bursts, he got 2 crackles, he got 2 lightning bolts.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
actually just like an
This is
extremely
too awesome.
burn heavy hand.
Yeah, he could have drawn into something like if he had no more,
Second lava shock, I think.
Yeah.
Was the,
If he had
was the
no-
last one.
if he didn't have a charger or a burn spell, he could have drawn dead. He could have had like Trog and Pharaoh Spirits or something like, or Trog and Totem Golem, and then maybe there's a
Right.
chance, but
Right.
And that's going to be Not a Rapper taking the last win for his team in Game 5. The New York University Violet Teachers are going to DreamHack Austin.
Congratulations! NYU is our first finalist for DreamHack Austin. We wait for our next match, and after our intermission, our next match will be the University of British Columbia versus Digipen University.